Hi, and welcome to EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. I'm here today with founder and editor Bill Moore. How you doing, Bill?
Doing great, thank you.
Well, for starters, I thought, that there was some pretty big news in the stock markets today. We're sort of in the stock, we're in the crypto space. So Sam Bankman-Fried got sentenced today to 25 years in prison for the
Really?
FTX fraud.
Wow.
Yeah, prosecutors were asking for 60 years. So the most I know of somebody ever getting sentenced to was 150 years, and that was the guy that did the Ponzi scheme. I can't think of who that was, but he died in jail when he was 82.
Yeah.
But that was the longest I'd ever heard of for a financial crime.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, and his lawyers were
I know
asking for 6.5 years.
Yeah, Bankman-Fried was arguing, well, you should cut it down to only 5 years because all those people are gonna get their money back. He's arguing. Apparently that didn't go well with the sentencing judge.
Oh, Bernie Madoff was the one who got 150
Madoff,
years. Yeah. What's interesting, the Theranos founder, Elizabeth Holmes, she only got 11 years. But
Yeah.
her crime really, while it was serious, it wasn't as big of a deal because there was something like $8 billion lost over this. And I don't really know, though, if it's 8 billion lost or exactly how all of that played out, because the way the crypto, and that may have been at the time that it was uncovered, because at the moment with the way crypto is recovered,
Right.
that number probably cut in half. But who knows where that ends up? I just thought that was kind of interesting and report that today.
I asked my daughter about that particular case. I said, well, man, this is fantastic because of what my daughter does. A company that she works for does blood analysis, and it involves photocytometry and other things. And so I asked her, well, this would really change things, for if you just did this simple, blood test yourself, and it would diagnose all of these diseases and things. And she said, Dad, it's a scam. It's not going to work, Dad. Well,
that was on the whole Theranos thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that was a scam. You'd like to think, though, that that'd be possible. If you remember when Star Trek used to be out, and the doctor would have the little scanner he'd take to you. He had his iPhone out, and he was scanning you with it. And
some of that is actually coming to be. Those attachments you can put, or apps that'll look at certain things. And I mean, we could eventually get there, but apparently the technology that she was pushing apparently just had technical fatal flaws about it, that unless you were trained in that particular science, you wouldn't think it was. You can heap a whole bunch of big words on people and get them to believe it. So
right. No, I get it, but that was kind of a crazy fraud. I was going to say, there's a few things I still want as features on my phone: bottle opener, lighter, and stun gun. I mean, these all things like they should be able to make the battery enough that I could stun somebody with it.
Yes, I saw somebody who was it? They've got now this nuclear battery that'll last 10,000 years. I mean, it's only like this big, but so I don't think you can run a phaser with it.
No. So my next story today, Bill, is the New York Stock Exchange has commenced delisting procedures against Fisker, which is symbol FSR. It's kind of sad to see. Fisker just has been underwhelming. We talk about this sometimes, how the EV space, how so many of the companies are so fragile.
Yeah.
And we've got a few really good, Tesla's a good player. We've got BYD. We've got, that are pure. Of course, BYD also makes plug-in hybrids, but you got Volvo and Hyundai that are doing well in the EV space, but they're legacy automakers.
Right.
But the people who've tried to come in and just be electric, we've seen so many failures from like Proterra. I've talked about Mullen. It's not easy to jump into the car business.
Not easy at all. No.
No, it's expensive. It's a big business. It's not necessarily something to do with EVs. You could go try make any kind of car, and it may not work out. What is it? This guy's got this car called the Venom, and he's supposedly sold like 40 and delivered 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
you see
look
things in the gas
look at
cars.
the DeLorean. You know,
Yeah.
and
Well,
they're trying to come back again as a pure EV. So, I
and it
mean,
looks cool.
well, yeah, but given the current climate, it's tough for the legacy automakers to make it. And Tesla's cut back, their pricing, and they're saying, well, if you're interested, we're going to give you, if you've got the appropriate equipment on your car, and let you, use FSD now, full driving, automated driving.
Well, for 1 month for free. Yeah, a month for free.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's
whatever it takes to, keep things rolling along. They're trying it.
well. So while we've got this bad news about Fisker, at the same time, they slashed the price of the Ocean, its only model, by nearly 40% to $37,499. That is crazy. Now, if they did go out of business, there's something done with money for warranty work. So even if a company went out of business, there's a certain set of money that they have bonded to cover warranties. So it's not a situation that they wouldn't be able to get the car fixed. But
I think car companies have to keep something like 10 years worth of
parts.
of spare parts, to cover those things. So, yeah, it's sad. I mean, I interviewed Henrik between his first failure and this one. And when you know somebody personally, I've had a chance to meet him personally, you kind of have a little bit more of a emotional investment in that person. And I was really excited to see him come back, and now he's going through this. But would it surprise me that he comes back again at some point? No. Now, it might not be super sexy looking cars. Maybe he'll figure out something else that he can use his talents and be a success at. So
it's just a matter of whether there's enough money available to make something thrive. A lot of these businesses just need to get a foothold in the industry, and Fisker always looked promising.
Yeah.
And like we were saying, that one really bad car review really sunk Fisker.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's a damn good designer. So we'll see how it comes out. Maybe this will move. I mean, he was apparently having conversations with a large OEM, and of course, I have no idea. I don't think anybody knows who that was, except obviously within the central management core there at Fisker. But apparently, from what we're hearing, is that fell through. So.
That's too bad. They have good designs. And a lot of that probably had to do with that bad review they got.
Yeah. Well, I think they were having issues before that review came along.
So let's talk about our next topic. We're going to talk about progress with the Tesla Optimus robot. And this is always fascinating to see. So, Elon Musk is saying that it should cost half of a car, but he's not real specific what car. Are we talking a Lamborghini, or are we talking about a Nissan Versa? Which one is it going to cost half the price of a Model 3 or a Model X?
Yeah. I'm going to ask anybody that's listening here, if you've ever seen the movie Real Steel, which is basically set in a future where we've got humanoid robots that box each other. And so I'm wondering, how long do you think it'll be before an Optimus faces off against a figure?
Oh, that would be interesting.
The competing humanoid robot. How long will, because we already have, robot, the little ground-based robot combat thing going on. That's been going on for quite a few years now. How long before we see Optimus and figure going at it? Anybody guess? Share it with the comments down below.
Yeah, well, that's kind of interesting. I could see one of these trying to fight a bear.
No.
Yeah. So, it's interesting that The robot was first announced with a dancer disguised as a robot. Oh, it was actually a human disguised as a robot for visual aid. And now they've actually got the device up and moving around. Previous update, Musk claimed that the Optimus stuff is extremely underrated. Demand could be as high as 10 to 20 billion units.
Yeah.
That would do a lot for Tesla's value.
Yeah. I watched a video here this week on robots, because they, over in Singapore and some of those Asian countries, they'll have these conferences and conventions where people bring their robots in. And I'd say 3/4 of those robots were focused on pleasure robots.
Right.
To keep within the bounds here.
We'll keep it under control, Bill, here. This is a family channel.
It's a family channel. The sales point that kept being repeated in the script over and over and over again were these would be medical helpers, right? So if you got a shortage of nurses and things, because we've had a lot of nurses and actually medical professionals get out of the business because of COVID.
Right.
One of the nurses I had here a month or so ago, was telling me that she retired from working at the hospital to work at this little clinic just to get out of the, to get some moment of less stress, basically, than what they were going through with COVID. So, these humanoid robots could, that's the niche that they're selling at the moment. Not just pleasure, but also for human health, as
right.
health.
No, I get it. Well, there's obviously all kinds of applications for everything like manufacturing, but just being able to do repetitive tasks. And Musk is basically saying that he thinks that they may be able to get production costs down to like $20,000-$25,000 kind of range. And that's really hard to imagine.
I saw my first service robot. My last time in Seattle, my daughter took us over to a restaurant, and there was this little service robot running around delivering you your water.
Oh, wow.
It would come around and then they'd pull up, and it had a sort of, computer animated face on the screen, kind of a cute little thing. And you would take your water off, and then it would go back and help get other people's orders for them. So yeah, those are already out there.
Yeah, it's nuts just to see what technology is bringing. So next article I want to talk about, and this is applicable. We're going to talk about Volvo a little bit, and this is in their car division, not their truck division. But Volvo kills the diesel engine forever. This XC90 is the last XC90 diesel to be produced. Here we go. They're putting it into the Volvo World Museum in Sweden, to show the relic of the old days of diesel cars.
Yeah.
So I thought this was kind of interesting. They said they were going to do this. They're not even really sure how many diesels they've made, because for some reason they didn't keep track initially. And I thought that was an interesting statistic, that they wouldn't keep track of how many.
How long ago when did they start doing that? I'm guessing probably pre World War II, because they've been around a long time.
Well, right. Let's see. They have some, this article did not have statistics on when they were doing this. The last cars that I've ever really looked at that were diesel much were Volkswagens. And Volkswagens, because some of the things, like I think it was the Jetta was getting like 45 miles per gallon on diesel. And in testing. Right, in testing. Yeah. We Mike and I covered an article yesterday that was talking about how it's dishonest, the ranges that people give. And it's like, have you not ever driven a gas car? It's like, good luck getting the gas mileage a gas car is supposed to get. It's just really hard. I mean, the highway miles are based on driving 55 miles per hour. Where do you ever do that?
No one does 55 miles an hour.
Yeah, there's just
Boost
no
that up
roads like that.
30 and you might get a closer estimate.
Yeah, when we were in the gas crisis back in the 70s, they set the speed limits down to 55 because that was where cars actually optimized gas
Yeah,
mileage
that's when they get, and you know why?
because they don't
You
hit
know
the
why
speed of
it
light.
is?
No, I don't know.
Because the what is it? Can't even come up with it. The algorithmic scale is the faster you go, the more air you're pushing and the harder it is. So it takes more energy to push that air. So 55 was a good speed to get you somewhere and not requiring you to give your car more, more to force more gasoline through the engine. And so because the faster you go, the more air you're pushing, and the more air you're pushing, the more gas you have to give. So
Okay,
that's what I'm as a layman. Now I'm sure if
right.
there's somebody out there that's an engineer and said, "Oh, Bill, you're full of, you know what." Uh, I probably am, but from what I've read and heard, that's part of the reason why they made it 55.
So, and the Volvo cars are owned by Geely, which is a Chinese company. So
Mm-hmm.
there's the primary owner. But
Yeah.
start keeping track
Up.
of diesel. I
Well,
was
let's
gone
see.
for a second.
We lost David. He's going to come back here in just a minute. There he is. He's back.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know how long I was gone for. I saw me black out for a second.
Nah, it was probably about 5 seconds, something like that.
Okay. Okay. So Volvo didn't track diesel car production until 1991, and it's built more than 9 million diesels since then.
Wow.
And they started building them in 79. So they had no records from 79 to 91. So there's 12 years missing. So that's, I just thought that was interesting that Volvo has stopped that. We see a lot of adoption and a lot of world leadership in the EV space coming from the Scandinavian countries
Yeah.
in a very big way. All right. So I'm going to move
What else
on
you
to, oh, I've got lots today. Somehow I came up with another article about Sam Bankman, which I don't care about.
got?
We brought it up. Let's see. Nissan is investing in Renault's Ampere in pursuit of a global EV roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if Nissan owns part of Renault or there's just some kind of partnership they're doing.
I'm trying to think what were the companies. I think Renault and Nissan were part of that global partnership. This is before Stellantis days.
And this is interesting.
Back
This is a
during Goshen, no, Gone, whatever his name was. Anyway, the gentleman that smuggled himself out of Japan just ahead of law enforcement, and
oh God.
I think he's living in Carlos Ghosn, living in Lebanon right now. Which, well, I don't know why I'd want to live in Lebanon, but yeah. So this was in the Carlos Ghosn era, and I think that there was a global partnership between them.
Beirut used to be considered to be the Paris of the Middle East up until that whole Lebanese civil war thing. And then
Yep.
everybody sort of moved over to Dubai.
Yeah.
And Beirut has interesting real estate because it started making a comeback again, and it'll go through big, expansions of development, and then it'll have something weird happen again.
Yeah, if they could just do something about Hezbollah and Syria and the stupid crap they have been involved in. So,
Oh yeah. Well, we could get into how they were probably all better when the British controlled everything.
well, that would raise a lot of hackles.
Yeah, it would. It would.
And I don't want to go there. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we'll skip that on the EV channel today. Yeah, but it's interesting to see all the different things that go into those places. I just thought it was fascinating that Nissan is investing in Renault. It doesn't get into a lot of specifics, and this was really coming to me from an Indian news source that was part of Reuters.
Mm.
So, we'll move on from that. But
Well, the gentleman that I think it was Renault who was saying at the Geneva Auto Show that there needed to be a sort of an alliance in Europe, like the Marshall Plan,
yes,
to join forces to number one, basically help speed up development of EVs and cut costs so that they can be competitive with the Chinese, who are now being projected to have 25% of the European market here within the next year or two. So,
uh, so my next topic is from the MIT Technology Review, and this one is one that you and I have discussed a little bit before. What's the big problem with plug-in hybrids? They're drivers.
Yeah, I saw that. And I saw that the day after we had that conversation. I thought,
okay.
I got to post that.
Yeah, it's
vindication from MIT. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So according to the new real-world driving data from the European Commission, plug-in hybrids produce roughly 3.5 times the emissions official estimates suggest.
Yep.
And the reason for this is because people don't charge the damn things.
Right. Exactly what I said.
Yeah. These plug-in vehicles typically have a range of 30 to 50 miles on all electric. And people, they only need to plug it into just basic 110 at home. Yep. It's not like they've got to take it to a supercharger or anything special like that. I suspect a lot of owners may be renters, and they got it thinking they didn't really think it through. Or maybe they thought they just charged it up occasionally. Yeah. But you do need to charge it up, and the gas is supposed to be there for a backup, not to be the primary, driver.
And the U.S. average mile, there's another article that I put up here a day or so ago. The U.S. average mileage on a daily basis for American commuters is 40 miles. And with the exception of the early Priuses, and the early Volt and things like that, that could almost cover, particularly if you could take and charge up at work. On 110 again, you'd never have to use that gasoline engine.
We got somebody saying they're holding 287,000 shares of Fisker.
Oh, God, I hope they can keep it going.
Got another comment. Your hoodie's looking really good today.
Oh, thank you, Yogi.
Yes. So. Anyways, so real-world driving data suggests that vehicle owners actually use the electric mode for 45 to 49% of their drivers. And if they were company-provided cars, they only did 11 to 15%. Now, I can kind of see that, because if it's a company-provided car, people may not go to the trouble of just trying to configure things at home, and they could also be renters.
Yes, exactly.
If they're a renter, I honestly, I just couldn't imagine going and spending a lot of time sitting at a charging station.
Yeah.
With just a plug-in hybrid. They should, but
plug-in hybrids aren't engineered for rapid charging.
No. Well, and the thing is, they really need to be something where somebody is charging them at home.
Yeah.
And that's the idea. And they fit that market really well. So I just thought that was kind of timely that came out, because you and I discussed that from time to time.
Well, I posted it on the RSS stream for that exact reason. I thought, I got some vindication for what I was arguing. Thank you.
Somehow I missed something today. I thought I had an article on the Toyota Hilux. So they're going into production of an all EV Hilux.
Yeah.
And so despite all this, where Toyota is anti-EV, they are building a very large battery plant on the east coast of the United States right now for EV production, and they're putting the Hilux into EV production. But what is special about the Hilux? What country do they not sell the Hilux in?
Oh, the United States, of course.
Right. And yet the Hilux is one of the 5 best-selling cars in the world.
Yeah.
They don't sell in the United States. Now, if you are some kind of Asian or Middle Eastern warlord and you're watching this, your car of choice, the Toyota Hilux, will now be available as all electric coming up in the next year or so.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that'll be interesting.
Okay. Fisker is currently up 35% on the day. Maybe that price cut has helped. So good deal.
I wonder what's driving that. Did somebody come in and say that they might acquire it? That would be the thing that would really drive up the price, is if all of a sudden somebody says they'd step in. You know, we're really, the EV space, we were talking about this earlier, needs some consolidation. And
it's going to happen. Yeah,
it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But like I said, we want to see the big three. You know, we got several companies we'd like to see them acquire. Fisker is probably one we didn't even mention, but we were talking about Aptera, Canoo, Rivian.
Yep.
Would all be good targets for the big 3 automakers, and as well as Apple. And so,
yeah, go EV, Canoo.
Yes. End of Q1. Oh, okay. Huh. That's just interesting that it's up 35%. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I really, I don't want to be a bag holder on Fisker.
Well, I finally got around to spending a little money, okay, a little over $400 and bought, 3 stocks, one of which is Rivian, another which is Canoo, and another which is Silla Icon, I think it is. It's a battery development company. So,
oh, nice.
Just to be completely transparent here, I'm pulling for some of these companies to make it. So,
no, I get it. So next, and I noticed the thing about that I was missing the article about Toyota, because I was looking at this deal on Hyundai. Hyundai Motor doubles down on EVs as it ramps up investment in Korea. Now, that's a nice looking, the Santa Cruz, a little pickup truck from Hyundai. It's a sharp looking vehicle, but Hyundai's massive, investment in both battery facilities and EV production in the state of Georgia. They're supposed to be putting cars out by the end of the year in Georgia, and they're predicting they're going to make about 25,000 EVs per month in Georgia. Lots of jobs.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me see. So Hyundai is going to invest 68 trillion won, which is $51 billion over 3 years in South Korea to ramp up EV production and new mobility business and hire 80,000 new employees.
Wow.
It sounds bigger though when we express it in so it's about,
we watch some of the Korean soap opera rom-coms and things, and they're always talking about, can you give me 1 million won? Can you loan me 1 million won? Then I go look it up, the exchange rate. Oh, that's $25 or some
right
like that. So yeah.
And I got an Ioniq 5 ad in the middle of it. Let's see. But Hyundai's been the one that we were talking about, had the crazy expensive batteries, they had the expensive ion flush and all that, but they are at least producing nice looking EVs that are selling.
Yep.
That are selling, but there is some.
Remember, something happened at that company. They were designing very generic, totally forgettable passenger cars. And then something, I don't know what it was management-wise, but something at that company happened, and they started creating really, in my view, really beautiful automobiles. They went, because my dad had a Hyundai, or it was a Kia, one of the two. It was just a plain Jane vanilla, runabout sedan. And then they did something. If somebody knows, I'd love to know what happened at that company that turned them around and made them, come up with such beautiful designs, because they've really done a masterful job.
All right, Bill. So my last one for today, because I get a lot of criticism for being too far left. So we're going to do one that's a little bit more to the right. So
they haven't talked to me.
Oh, well, No, I realize that. Well, I get criticized from both sides. I told you, I get it from both sides. I'm not left enough, and then I'm too left. It depends on where people are at. They don't know where my politics sit. But anyways, big oil flourishes despite Biden's climate policies. And we've talked about some of this a little bit before, but in that even though EVs are growing, world oil usage is going up at the same time.
And
record oil production.
Oil production.
Yes. Booming exports, rapid jobs growth, soaring CEO pay and shareholder returns. Almost any other metric, the U.S. oil and gas industry has flourished under the current president, even though his administration has pushed hard to transition towards carbon-free future to fight climate change.
Excuse me while I go over and pull the rug under that argument.
It's interesting to see, though. So part of this, though, it has to do with Ukraine, because it's pushed some pressure on Russian oil exports. And for a while, India was soaking up all of those. And I think they finally stopped.
Not anymore. They're not taking any more. Nope.
Right. So this has caused some of your other companies, BP, Shell, Exxon, Chevron, to rack it up. $410 billion in profits over the course of the last 3 years. That's about $140 billion a year, a 100% increase over the first 3 years of Trump's presidency. And it's just hard to fathom that it's right. But of course, the price of oil has been a whole lot more expensive for the last 3 years. So that's a lot of where that comes from.
Yeah, it's been what, around $80? I think it's been kind of the average.
Yeah, but I think about what the price is at the pump.
Where they put a cap on that, so.
Right. And, it's just, I just thought I'd report on that because it's a little bit different to see, because while EVs are having a big effect on, emissions and things like that, there's still no shortage. More people are driving than ever.
Yeah.
So while EV sales are going up, the sales of gas cars are not going up. Yeah. So the growth in the automotive space has all been in the EV sector, or at least worldwide. And so, it's just a matter of time, but passenger cars only use 25% of oil production. So it's, it'll be interesting to see where that all plays out as we go down the road.
Two items I want to touch on. The first one is New York City is the first metropolitan area, large city in the United States to implement a congestion charge. So starting, I think, next month, I believe, if you drive into Manhattan in a private automobile, and you go below, I think, basically Central Park, so that's the south side of the island, that you're going to be charged $15 during normal business hours. Now it goes down, I think, in the evening and things like that. But they're the first city to implement a congestion charge. So the other one too is, of course, the Baltimore, the Francis Scott Key Bridge going down. The freighter hitting that, and the impact that is likely to have on not only the automobile, but just general. I think the city of Baltimore, I heard, is losing about $100 million a day in operational revenue from the operations of that port. And they figure it's going to take. I was just listening to a guy that's a salvage expert this morning on that, and he figured that once they get all the equipment in, they're still trying to figure out, well, how do we extricate the bridge off the top of the ship, and how do we stabilize the containers that are already toppled, and how do we move that out of the way, and then what do we do with all that scrap and so on. But he said he figured it would take, once they get everything in place. And I guess he pointed out, if you had to have a disaster like this, Baltimore is where to have it, because they have all of the resources to address the problem, either there within the harbor complex or in the adjoining, spaces in, the Port of New Jersey and Virginia Beach and those areas along the East Coast. So that equipment is being moved at the moment to get it there. They have to figure out, they got to coordinate, because this is like about 3 different entities that are going to be involved. One that deals with the ship and the cargo, another which deals with the the safe removal of the fallen spans and creating the making sure that the channel is navigable. But once that happens, with they get in place, he thinks it'd take about 5 days to extricate the ship from underneath, and then to tow. What he's suggesting is they just get a bunch of tugboats and strap all that scrap from that bridge onto the onto these vessels and then tow it. And there's a place off to the west side of the port where they can haul that all over there and cut it up, and they can be back in business. The bridge won't be there, but at least they can have the flow can resume, because there are ships trapped in the harbor, and there are ships starting to tack up, back up down the Chesapeake that that we're looking to offload their cargo. So I'm guessing probably within 10 days to 2 weeks, we might be able to see that that harbor open up again.
All right. Well, good deal. Bill, thanks for doing the show with me today. Folks, thanks for watching. And we'll be tomorrow. I'm going to do the show a little bit later in the day on stock trades. We'll do it at the end of the day with Adib. Anyways, going to end the stream for today.